Hey there, breakthrough entrepreneurs. It is Janet. And once again, I am back to talk about a subject that I am kind of obsessed with. So, back in January, I think it was, I did a podcast episode 56, where I talked about email marketing. And what had happened was I was with a group of entrepreneurs and we started talking. I'm sure I brought it up because I was migrating from active campaign from MailChimp to active campaign. Anyway, I brought up email marketing because I was excited about creating my email marketing automations, and they all kind of said, well, we don't really do email marketing. And I'm like, you guys are all entrepreneurs, you have a list, right? And some of them said, well, I don't really have a list, excuse me. And some of them said, well, I have a list, I know I should do something with it, but I don't do anything with it. And I was just flabbergasted that that could be the case. So I did a short little episode about that on the podcast. And then since then, let's see, after that, I started talking a little bit more about email marketing. And someone said to me, a group actually, people said to me, can you teach us how to do that? And I said, sure. So as the wise person that I am, I pre-sold it. I wasn't going to create it and then figure out no one wanted it. So I sold, I don't know, 7 of them. And then I created the course and delivered the course. And since then, I've got clients that keep talking about, and I keep hearing about, and the email marketing and how people aren't doing it, certainly not maximizing the asset that their email list is. So I decided I wanted to come back and talk about it again, because I just think it's so imperative that we utilize this amazing asset in our business that many of us don't even think of as an asset, but it is an asset. It is what people will pay money for your company for, like your customer list and your prospects. It is what people will joint venture with you because of. Let's say you do a cross promotional thing. Well, the bigger your list, the better you're going to be able to get people to do joint venture cross promotions with you. It's just a darn right down to earth, really, really important thing to do. And I'm kind of passionate about it. So I am here to talk about it as well, and to go into a little bit more of a deep dive. And I'm also doing this in preparation for a workshop that I am teaching September 22nd, 2021. It's called Email Marketing and Automation, and it is a workshop. So that means a half day of sitting and actually creating emails and creating the automations and planning them out and actually getting the work done, not just talking about it, taking some notes and then never doing it. So it is a workshop. So I'm offering it for the first time in September. I'm only taking 15 people. So if you're interested, there's a link below to learn more and register and come join us. I'm also giving a screaming deal. So the retail price for this course is $297. I'm giving it to you for $97 this one time. So come and get that email campaign, those email lists and the email campaigns done. At least get a raging start on it. Get the work done. And the other thing is, as included in the purchase price of $97, this is something that I want to do month after month after month, or at least every quarter. You can come back as many times as you want for free. So you paid $97 one time. If you want to come back and take it again to fine tune or to refresh or to work on other marketing campaigns, you can come back as many times as you want. So that is my offer for you. And now I am going to jump right in to talk about your email, building your email campaigns, and first building your list and then building the campaigns. So the first thing people ask me is like, how do I build my email list? Okay, so there are a number of different ways to build your email list. The most probably effective way is through networking with other people, right? So it's communicating with other people. It could be via the phone. It could be big social media. I do a lot of networking through social media, especially through the pandemic. It could be through discussion groups or Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups or any groups that you can find online, offline meetup groups, BNI, chamber, groups that are formed in your industry specific groups, networking groups. All of those are great ways to get out there and network with people, to get them to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in what you have. I'd like to learn more. Great. Give me your name and email address. I'll send you my free thing, or I'll get you on my list. So networking is a great way to do that. Zoom networking, oh my gosh, we've all done a gazillion Zooms in the last year or so. And I'll tell you, I don't know whether it's just I'm perfecting the message or I am honing in on the Zoom networking that actually works for me. But I'm getting some great success in Zoom networking these days. I'll also include Clubhouse, pretty new audio only platform, social media platform. I've started to be pretty active over there and starting to get some traction there. Online summit, speaking engagement, speak on other people's stages, do that, via Zoom or do it in person. So there's many, many, many ways that you can engage people and network and build your email list. Those are just some of the examples of ways to do it. You could advertise in Facebook or advertise anywhere online to get names and email addresses. So there's tons and tons of ways to do it. It's all about just finding people to talk to. The first place I would say is go to your hopefully written down marketing plan. Everyone should have a marketing plan. Everyone should have a written down marketing plan. If you don't, or you do, and you want to hone that, I did an episode 63 on creating an effective email campaign. So if you want to go listen to that episode, do so. It'll give you kind of how to create a really effective marketing campaign. And that's how you find people to talk to, is through your marketing efforts, both online and offline. We've certainly been doing a lot of offline in the recent months, actually last year or so. But offline is really, really a powerful way to engage with people as well. And I will say this, just get out of your own way. Just go and get out and do it. People need what you have. You're doing what you do because you solve a problem and people need what you have. So get out of your own way, get out and network with people, engage with people, and build that email list. All right. And I would say a big component to doing that is being consistent. So consistently getting out and talking to people every day. Set a goal for yourself. I'm going to talk to 5 people a day. I'm going to talk to 1 person a day. I'm going to talk to 20 people a day, whatever it is. Pick a goal and then stick with it. Go find people to talk to. Just start. Like I said, get out of your own way by just starting. And it doesn't have to be pretty. Like I said on the Fun Friday last Friday, start ugly. We all start somewhere. None of us are perfect. And I think the imperfections that we have endear people to us. And so just start. Like no one is perfect to begin with. And 2, it's not about you, it's about them. It's about being of service to them. So who cares if you're imperfect? Who cares if you mess up? Because it's all about them. And if you make it about them and it's not about you, it's a lot easier to do. So just start. Keep track of where your leads are coming from. So use your marketing strategies to keep track of where those names and email addresses are coming from, so you know what to do more of and what to do less of. And then just build the skill. Just build the skill by doing it. Doesn't matter if you're perfect. Like I said, just get out there and do it. Be consistent. All right. So as you're building your email list, so let's start with, maybe you already have an email list or maybe you don't have any. I think it's probably safe to say that even though you think you don't have any, you've got a list somewhere. You've got some business cards or something laying around the house. You've got your phone where you've got contacts in your phone that you can put into a database. So even though you might think you don't have one, you have some, but we all need to build more, and you need some place to put them. So you need a database or a customer relationship management system, a CRM. You absolutely need some place to put them. Your phone is not going to do it for you. You're not going to be able to maximize the asset that is your email list via your phone. You're not emailing them through your phone. Is a very ineffective way. And what we're going to talk about is some powerful techniques to stay in front of people who are interested in what you have, so that when they're ready to buy, you're top of mind. You're the one that they go to. So you absolutely need one. I've tried Aweber. I've tried MailChimp. I'm currently using ActiveCampaign. I absolutely love ActiveCampaign. I migrated from MailChimp to ActiveCampaign in January, and I'm absolutely loving it. It is not expensive. I think I pay $15 a month or something for it. It is not an expensive thing, but it's very powerful, and I absolutely love it. But anyone will do. Get Response, One Shopping Cart, Kartra. There's a gazillion ones out there. Pick one and start. That's the most important thing. Continue to get names and email addresses and continue to put them into that database. That database is gold. Like I said, it is the asset to your business. If people are going to buy your business, first thing they're going to ask is how many names and emails do you have in your database? Like how many people are your prospects or your customers? People want to know that. So it's a huge asset to your business. So let's maximize that, which is what we're going to cover today. As leads come in, enter them into your database. Don't leave them sitting, and follow up with them, because here's what I found: you meet somebody on a Zoom call, and they say, "Yeah, I'm interested. Let's get together. Let's talk some more." Whatever it is, if I don't communicate with that person for a week or two, and then I send them an email, one, they probably won't open the email. Two, they're like, "Who is this person? I don't even remember where I met her." And they certainly don't remember what I do. And they certainly don't remember why they were interested in talking to me, because most likely they've talked to a whole bunch of other people between the time they talk to me and the time they talk to somebody else, and they don't remember who the heck I am. So strike while the iron is hot. Follow up on the leads as soon as you get them. Get them on your calendar, get them into your database, emailing them, which we'll talk about the automation, but get that communication going. All right, so you've got your marketing strategies, you're building your list, you've got them into a database or a CRM. Now what? So you create autoresponder campaigns, and you do what I'll call blast email campaigns. And so let's start with the blast email campaign. So that is a weekly email to your list or to a segment or a part of your list. So I will talk a little bit more about frequency, but I kind of like the once a week. I strive for once a week emailing of my list. I do a podcast. So once a week, I'll send an email saying, this is some things, some thoughts that came out of the podcast. And I might even send them a little snippet, a little sound bite of the podcast, or I'll send them an image of the flyer with the title and a picture on there. So I try emailing people once a week. That's my blast email. And I might just send it to a segment of my list. I might not send it to my entire list, but that's what I would call a blast email. An autoresponder email. What is an autoresponder campaign? Let me give you a for instance. So I have this thing that I do twice a month. It's called the Break Room Zoom Party. And it is entrepreneurs getting together, and we promote our businesses to each other. We get to talk about what we do. We get to talk about what we need, and we give an entrepreneur tip. So something that we as entrepreneurs use to help us in our business or grow our business. And so I do that twice a month. And then that episode, I record it, and that becomes an episode of the podcast that I release on the podcast. And guess what? Now these people that were in the room and now have all of my listeners learning about what they do. They get to promote to a much wider audience, because it's not just to the people in the room, but it's to the listeners of the podcast. Pretty cool, right? So if, let's say you were interested in learning more about the Break Room Zoom party, I would give you a link. There's a link below, by the way, but I'll give you a link, and you would sign up to get registered for that, for the break room. So I would immediately send you a thank you. If you were opting in to get one of my free, irresistible offers, I would deliver whatever that was to you. And then I would have a series of emails that you get over time. So, and they were good. We'll talk about what's in them, but good content emails that keep our engagement going. So that's a way that I engage you once you have opted in. And then I continue to be front of mind because I send you an email. And the pace that I do is typically for one of my opt-ins is the thank you delivery, and then another email that same week or 3 days later. And then I do 2 emails the following week. And then I do 1 email a week for anywhere from 12 to 18 weeks, depending on the automation campaign. So that is and I build it one time. And as people opt in to get let's say my free thing, then they go through that same sequence in the time that I have laid out, but I build it once and then I never have to touch it again unless I want to tweak it. And like I said, I usually recommend 7 to 20 emails because people need to have 7 to 20 touches before they're really going to do anything with you or buy something from you. So it's kind of important to have not just 1 or 2 or 3 emails, but a series of emails to get in front of those people who have entrusted you with their name and their email address. I build multiple campaigns. So I will have a campaign that is for the breakthrough Zoom party. I'm sorry, the break room Zoom party. I will have another campaign that is for this workshop that I am getting ready to do. So if you're interested in the workshop, I will put you through a separate campaign. So multiple automation campaigns for different lead magnets or different things that you're doing. You want to have ongoing contact. You absolutely want to make sure that you have ongoing contact with the people that, like you said, have entrusted you with their name and their email address. So we absolutely want to use autoresponder campaigns. You also want to segment your list into different categories, let's say. So customers versus prospects, customers who have bought this versus this, people who are interested. So I have 2 lead magnets, 5 steps to launch a business, 5 steps to take your business to the next level. Those are very different people. So the campaign that I will give to the people who are starting a business is different than the campaign and information that I'll give to people who are taking their business to the next level. So I can segment it so the messages and the emails go to one group are different than go to another group. And you can have pretty much any level of segmentation, at least with Active Campaign. They use something called tags. You have multiple levels of segmentation that you can do, or pretty much any kind of segmentation. No limit to the number of tags you can have or segmentation you can have within your list. So it's an important way for you to manage your list, but to better target people through email, through specific lists. So super important to do, super important to have. I found it really, really useful. All right, so now you've figured out how to get names and email addresses. You've got names and email addresses. You put them into a database. Now we start email campaigns or emails, right? So what does the email look like, and what are the best practices around email campaigns? So I like to say the fortune is in the follow-up, and there are 3 phases that your email campaign should contain. And they are the interest phase, the hook phase, and the conversion phase. And I'll take you through each of those. So the first one is the interest phase. And the interest phase is your subject line. The sole job of your subject line is to get people to open your email. That's it. You have a compelling subject line that says, that makes people want to open your emails, because if they don't open them, of course, they're never going to read them. So step number 1 is just to get them interested enough to open. So there's a number of ways you can do it. You can do it through humor. You can be clever. You can be controversial. However, that's know your audience. And that's a tricky one because you don't want to put anybody off. You don't want to offend anybody. You don't want anybody looking at you going, wow, she's on the other side of a fence that I am. So know your audience if you're going to go down that controversial way, and be tongue-in-cheek with it. Like, don't be out and out controversial. But that is one way to get people to open. Scarcity is one I love, like ending soon, ending at midnight, only 5 left, those kind of things. So scarcity is a great way to get people to open up the email. Make it personal. Use their first name, Janet, blah, 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 blah. So call out their first name and make it personal. Keep it simple. Simple is always best. I want some long, complicated, just be really upfront and simple so people get the idea and they immediately are curious enough to open the email. Sometimes a single word, no, or I don't know, some other single word, yes, will get people curious enough to say, hey, I want to open that email. Numbers and lists, 5 ways to start a business, 5 things you should know before X. So lists and numbers work really well in subject lines. Questions work well in subject lines. Do you want to learn how to maximize your email list? Like, yes, I do. And if you don't, then don't open the email because you're not my target market anyway. So perfect. I've eliminated the people who they've already maximized their email list, although I don't know anybody who would say they maximize their email list because there's always more we can do. But if that's the question, if the answer is no, I'm not, then that's the people I want to open the email. So questions work really well. Punctuation can be a little cutesy sometimes. I don't know that I'm a really huge fan of the excess punctuation, but sometimes that can be effective. Emojis, same thing. If you use a couple of well-placed emojis that tie into the subject, that works, but don't go over emoji because I think it looks cutesy and I don't think it looks that professional. So I wouldn't recommend it. Be mysterious, like make them curious enough that they want to open that email, and then keep it under 50 characters, keep it short. The hook phase. Okay, so now that I've opened the email, how do I get them to keep going? How do I get them to do what I want them to do? So I would say show up quick, right? The first line of the email should say something that gains my attention, gives me some good knowledge, makes me want to keep reading. Be loud and clear about what your message is, what the benefit is to me, what I'm going to learn, and why I care. Do not be overly salesy. No one likes that. And if you're overly salesy, they're going to not read the email and they might unsubscribe from your list. Don't waste their time. Time is just such a huge commodity. Sorry, it is a huge non-commodity. It is limited. People have limited time. And if you waste their time, they're going to unsubscribe. They're not going to open your emails. So make sure you use their time well with content that serves them, that serves your target market. Speak to them in their own language, in language that they understand. Talk to them where they are. Don't use language that is foreign to them or that they don't understand. Be educational, teaching, benefits, why they care, what they're going to get out of it. Tell stories. People love stories. So get your message across by telling a story in an email, and make sure that your next step is clear. Tell them what you want them to do and be very, very clear about it, and focus on the needs of your ideal client, your target market, or your target that you are sending that email to. What's the problem that they solve? What problem that they have that you solve? What do they need that you can help them with? Like really focus on their needs so that your email is compelling and useful to them. And then the third phase is the conversion phase. Did they do what you asked them to do? So I try to write my emails in such a way that they click to get more information. And I want to teach them to click. So I might send them off to somebody else's article about something. I might send them off to my website to go listen to a podcast episode or go look at something that I have on my website. But I'm going to tell them exactly what to do. Click here to get this, right? Be really, really straightforward with what you want them to do. Tell them what you want them to do. So I oftentimes get the question about content versus sales. So I want to address that now. How much content do you give, and how many times do you do an ask, or you try to sell somebody something, or you try to get them on your calendar, because giving time is an asset that they have. And so I equate that to selling or asking for their time. How often do you do that versus content? So I have this point system, and it's the 5 and 1 point system. 5 pieces of really good content for every ask or every sales or every time I'm going to ask them to buy something or to give me their time. I have 5 times as many emails that give them good content, and then move them through your funnel, right? So for me, there's a lot of ways people come into my funnel, but let's say you are not a customer of mine and you have opted in for one of my things, and now you're in my email list. And the next step for me to take you through my world and get you to sales is to get you on the phone with me or do a marketing audit. I do these marketing audits on my podcast. I'll do a strategy session with you. And so I want to get you on the phone. And so I will work that through my email campaigns. So I may give you some great content, and then I might send an email talking and offering up a marketing audit. Gives you exposure on my podcast because it gets released as an episode of the podcast, and you walk away with marketing strategies that, some free coaching and some marketing strategies that you might not otherwise have been thinking about. And so then that takes you through. I get you on the phone, and maybe you join my membership, or you do some coaching with me. But use your emails as a way to work people through your funnel to get them to the next step of engagement with you. I always get asked the question about content, and I would say, one, provide great content. And then people say, well, okay, what do I talk about in my emails? I get stuck. I don't know what to talk about. So a couple of things, whatever's newsworthy or noteworthy or relevant today. So those are always good emails of what's going on today, what's newsworthy and what's relevant. Be informational. Like I said, don't be salesy, be informational. People want to learn. They don't necessarily want to buy something on every email. So 5 to 1 again. Frequency. I like at the beginning 2 a week, and then once a week after that. And then ongoing that's for my automations. For my blast emails, I try to do once a week. So I try to send an email to my entire list once a week. And that's what I like. Now, you need to know your audience. Your audience may want something more frequent than that. They might want something less frequent than that. Don't be afraid to email them. People don't want to hear from me. If they don't want to hear from you, they'll not open the email. If they don't want to hear from you, they'll unsubscribe. There are a number of lists that I am on that I rarely open the email, but I'm not going to unsubscribe because every once in a while there's something that catches my eye and I'm like, I want to read that. So don't worry about that. Like, don't worry about being overly emailing, because chances are you're not. And if you are, then they'll unsubscribe and they're not your client anyway. So don't sweat it. Direct them to your website to learn more. So as I said, have a podcast, and I'll send out I don't do it every week, but let's say I send out a weekly email and I'm talking about bust through your comfort zone. It's an email, episode I did a couple of weeks ago talking about how I'm doing all these things that scare me. And by the way, that's episode 66 if you want to listen to it. But I might talk about that in an email, and then I might send them a link to listen to the entire episode on my website. So get them over to your website where they can roam around and listen to other podcast episodes, or see what other things that you have, or maybe go to your store and buy some things. And so don't hesitate to direct them to your website or somewhere where they can continue to stay engaged with you. I often hear, I don't know what to write about. So as I mentioned, whatever's newsworthy, whatever in the news for those people in your industry, great topics to write about. Whatever's current these days. So current topics, questions that you've been asked. I think that's a great one. In fact, that's how this whole emailing thing came up last time and this time, because people were asking me about emailing and how to do certain things within email campaigns and automations. And so that's how this all started. So answer questions that people are asking. If people aren't asking you questions, answer the questions that you think they should be asking you. So those are always great. That's always great content for emails. And then if you really get stuck, just Google blog topics. Like I do blog topics for entrepreneurs. Like just Google it and see what comes up out there. So lots of ways to create content. The other thing I'll say on that is, let's say there's something going on and it's newsworthy, but you don't know a whole lot about it. Go read 5 articles or 3 articles on it, and then write a post then write an email, like taking the best of those articles, those ideas, making them your own, using your own words, and then conglomerating all that into an email. So it conveys some of the messages, but you don't have to reinvent everything. It's okay to go out and take some ideas from other people, make them your own, and get them out there. So that's another way to continue to get great information in front of your email list. Use multimedia. So don't just write text emails over and over and over again. Use a combination of images and text and video, and especially video. It doesn't have to be done professionally. Like I'm sitting in my office. I have pretty good lighting here. I'm sitting in but I do have a ring light in case it's dark or the light isn't so good. Have a decent microphone. And like I said, have good lighting. And other than that, don't worry about it being professional. In fact, like I said earlier, I think people are more endeared to you if you're not perfect. If you're, it doesn't have to be professional. If it's professional, then it can be off-putting. So just embrace it and embrace your quirkiness and just do it, right? Post it to YouTube or create a channel. So I have a channel on YouTube, and I'll be honest, I have like 12 subscribers because I really don't do a whole lot with it. But a while ago, I started so I do all of my podcasts via Zoom. And so I have audio and I have the video of it. So I when I edit it, I download the audio and I put it into my podcast. And then I take the video and I put it up on YouTube. And then with that, I also have the ability to take snippets of all of the episodes and create little social media posts with sound bites from each of the episodes. So there's a lot of things I can do with it, but post it up on YouTube, get up on YouTube. Not everybody wants to listen and not everyone wants to view. So while I don't do a lot, like I said, if I'm going to send somebody to listen to my podcast, I'm going to send them to my website, but that's audio only. But there are people who want to see it. So post to YouTube, right? Like I said, right now I'm not doing a lot with sending people to YouTube, but it's there. It's another social media platform. And one of these days, I'll start sending people there and I'll start growing an audience there. But use YouTube as a way to put your video in a place where people can find you and consume. Video doesn't have to be camera eye to eye, face to face. Like I resisted that. Now I'm a little bit better with it. But it doesn't so that's a great way to do it because people get to see you and they get to know you a little bit better. They feel like that maybe seeing the real you because they get to see your face and how you act and all of that. But it doesn't always have, that's not the only way to do video. So you can also do video by creating like a PowerPoint presentation and talking through the slides and just having the slides on the camera. So my email marketing course is PowerPoint slides that I talk to, and then I create the video with that. So it doesn't always have to be you on camera. I think it should be you on camera, but it doesn't have to always be on camera. And then editing, like do some decent editing. I don't do a ton of editing. I barely do any editing on my podcast. I don't take out all my ums, as you'll hear. To me, it's not worth the time, and people understand that this is how I talk. But edit. So editing, I use Camtasia for the software that I excuse me, that I use to edit. It's got some cool features that I can put some annotations and some words, and I can add music and all that cool stuff. But anyway, edit, find some way to edit your videos. And just like I said, good lighting, good audio, and mix it up. Mix it up on your emails with images, with text, and with video, and do more video. Then have a strong call to action. So it's really important that you tell people exactly what you want them to do. Don't leave it to their imagination. Tell them exactly in no uncertain terms what you want them to do. Click here to join click here to join the break room Zoom party. Like, tell them exactly what to do. Tell them to only do one thing. Ask them only to do one thing. If you give them multiple things to do, they won't do anything. Too many choices leads to inactivity, leads to lack of action. So only ask them to do one thing. As I said, sell them down your funnel. We talked about that before. So keep that in mind as you're crafting your automation campaigns, that you want to move them down your funnel. And that's a great way to segment your list, because if people have done a strategy session with you or a marketing audit with you, then you can exclude those from the next email that you offer the marketing audit from people that have already done the marketing audit, and you can tag them as such in your database or your CRM, and therefore those people won't get those emails. So sell them down your funnel, get them into your world, and get them at the bottom of the funnel where they're buying your cool stuff. And then make the offer or tell them what you want to do, or the link that you want them to click on. Make sure that is above the fold, which means when I pick up my phone, or I'm looking at it on a tablet, or I'm looking at it on my laptop or my screen, it is the first, it's above the fold. I can see it. I don't have to scroll down to find it. The link is right there, or the action that you want me to take is right there. So make sure it is above the fold, and then make sure they have a way to contact you. I mean, if it's email and it's obvious, just reply, okay, that makes sense. But sometimes you want to add a phone number. Sometimes you want to add a phone number to text. Sometimes you want to include your email address, because sometimes they're not thinking, all I have to do is reply. So just make sure that you include a way to contact you, or a instruction to contact you. So be sure to reply and such and such and such. So strong call to action. All right. Let's talk a little bit about automations and how we do automations. Now, we will go into much deeper detail in the workshop, and we'll actually create automations. But I want to kind of give you some best practices around how to create your automation. So start with an outline. Where do you want them to start, and where do you want them to go, and how many steps are along the way? And in that outline, have a progression of where so it's not ad hoc, right? But it's a progression of emails that make sense, one after the other. And that gives you a great way to include your 1 in 5. So your ask, your sales, I want you to do, so I want you to buy something. I want you to buy a book, or I want you to set up a strategy session with me. And so it gives you a way to set that all out in an outline. And then you go and craft each one of those emails. And when you do it that way, it makes it easier to take those components and use them in other automations. So you've kind of chunked them out into different sections. And then you have the ability to take some of those sections and move them around in other automations, because you are going to create multiple automations. And obviously you're going to have multiple emails in your campaign, 7 to 20, right? So you're going to have multiple emails. So create an outline, set it all up, write it all down. And then that way it's much easier to create other automations and create other campaigns. Track your marketing strategies through your campaigns. So I know how many people have signed up for my break room Zoom party through my podcast, because I track it. I know how many people have signed up for the break room Zoom party from my Instagram, because I track it. So anything that I'm doing marketing wise, I am going to track through campaigns. I know who has opened my email. I know how many people have opened my email. I know when they've opened my email. I know if they have clicked through the email to whatever link I might have had in there. All of that's trackable within ActiveCampaign or whatever your automation software is. So track the success and what's happening in your marketing through those campaigns. I'll give you an example. In January, I did on the podcast, I did an ad, my own ad or a promotion for, I forget what it was. It was one of my opt-ins. Let's say it was the next level business, 5 steps to taking your business to the next level. I don't remember which one it was, but it was something like that. And so I went in and I looked, and within the course of 3 days, 31 people had opted in from that ad, from that promotion. And I knew that they came from the podcast. So I went back because I saw it. I went back and I'm like, what did I say? And what did I do? Because that's working. Like 30 people in 3 days is pretty good to have people opt in. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't tracking my marketing strategies, and I wasn't tracking how effective they are in people opting in or then opening emails, etc. So it's really important to analyze. Like, don't just get database and then leave it there, like go in and see what's happening and see what's working and see what's not working. And I found another thing. So I was going back and looking through a whole bunch of, I had an email automation campaign that a whole bunch of people had opted into. And I looked and saw who opened them. And there was this one woman who was opened, she opens every email I mean, she opened all my emails. And I was like, okay, I'm going to contact her and just say, hey, I see that, you're engaged. Is there anything you'd like to hear on the podcast? Or is there anything in a specific area that you need help in? But I wouldn't have, if I hadn't gone back and looked, I wouldn't have noticed that there was this one person who obviously opens all my emails and is following me and engaged. So that was awesome. And I wouldn't have known it if I hadn't analyzed and then change as you go along. So that is kind of the outline for how, or that's the kind of the best practices for how to create an automation campaign. Come join us in the workshop. It's September 22nd. We will go deep into each one of these areas. You will have time to actually work and create your emails and your automation campaigns. I'll answer any questions that you have. We'll talk more about best practices. There'll be other entrepreneurs there that are going through exactly what you're going through. So we'll be able to all chat and support each other and give each other great ideas on how to effectively maximize our email list. All right, so thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you gathered some interesting tidbits, some tidbits that will help you, like I said, maximize that email campaign, that asset for your business. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.